This video is a rant. This video is a rant against the school system. This video is a rant against the corporate system. This video is against the financial system. And this video is a rant against the government who has been brainwashing us and controlling our minds and training us to be sheep and keeping us poor for their own greed and their own malicious purposes. And in this video, I'm going to expose all of the lies that we've been taught to keep us in a mindless state of poverty, when in reality, there is a greater abundance available in this world, so less than 1% of people ever need to work to take care of the needs of everybody living on this planet. Stay tuned, and I'm going to expose the lies, and I'm going to tell you the truth about how the system we're living in was designed to keep us poor. Go to school, get a job, get a bunch of mortgage debt, and die. Okay, this is the path that we are taught our entire lives. At least us growing up in America, we're taught to go to school, get good grades so you can get a job and you can get into more debt and you can get the rest of your life taken away from you, working for things you don't need, when really everything we need is around us. Our family, our friends, our animals, our land, everything. Everything's been a lie. And I'm going to start with the school system. That's right. Everyone who's been suckered into this lie called the education system. Compulsory education is a lie. And it's a lie because this is an institution that we survived without it for thousands of years, and we got along just fine. We got along just happily. But compulsory education was a system invented by the Nazis. To be specific, it was invented by the Prussians after they lost to Napoleon in the War of 1812 or something like that. But the fact remains that it was invented by the Prussians, who became the Nazis, to brainwash their diverse set of states that all had different dialects of the same language. They all had slightly different beliefs and allegiances. And to combine all these disparate states together with different dialects to make them speak the same dialect of their language, to work together to become a war machine, to take over the world, to take over Europe and take over the world, they invented compulsory education and turned Austria-Hungary into Germany, created a single language to unify their people, to not question authority, and to march off and lead the biggest death massacres that have ever happened in the history of the world. Now, when you brainwash an entire population, bad things happen. But there need to be voices. There are voices telling you today that this can be stopped, and we are not in an industrial era society anymore. We are not a society which requires neat little rows of desks in neat little lines, all learning the same freaking history determined by a man up in Washington, D.C., checkmarked off, stamped down so that we're all the same. We're not a neat little rows of society. For our country to grow forward, we need self-education. We need innovation. We need free-thinking minds, not mind-numbed, brainwashed, neat little rows of people that are brainwashed and told not to think for themselves. Sit down. Don't ask too many questions. Don't speak out of turn. All these different things. Stay in your line, etc. We need a system of self-education. And the school system we have, which is taught by people, by professors who haven't even practiced what they preached. You can find more successful marketers and salespeople teaching marketing and sales on YouTube than you can in colleges. In fact, universities won't even teach sales. Universities will not teach you sales, which is one of the #1 jobs in all of the world, is making commercial transactions. Yet a college won't teach it because, as some other college officials have said, we don't teach money. We don't teach people how to make money. That's not our job. Yet the lie that going to college creates bigger incomes is espoused to so many people. What? But you may think to yourself, but I've been told all along that people who go to college end up making more money over their lifetime, over $1 million more. This same line has been marketed down and shoved down people's throats since the 70s as a reason to go to college. But the thing they don't tell you is that correlation is not causation. Just because people who go to college make more money doesn't mean that it was college that made them more money. But what else could it be? Well, it could be the fact that to go to college, you need to be able to pay $200,000. The average college, the cost of not working for 4 years, the cost of housing for 4 years without a job, and the cost of a university education and an average of $25,000 a year to afford to pay for college. You're generally not broke. You're generally coming from a better family situation than others. You're generally coming from a higher earning potential than others. So are you saying that the correlation between making more money means coming from better families, John? Yeah, there's a direct correlation between how rich your family was and how much money you make. Isn't that funny? Because the reality is, schools aren't teaching people to have wealthy mindsets. It's the families. It's the families they come from. But government even wants to get rid of that. Now, what about jobs, right? Corporate system. It's there to help you, right? What they don't tell you is that corporations are entities. They're classified as living beings in the law of the United States of America. I'm going to throw out a zinger here, and it's true, but people don't think about it. Artificial intelligence is already here. Artificial intelligence are sentient constructs that act on their own will and have different motives than us humans. And corporations, which create which we rely on for jobs, salaried jobs, putting hourly wages on us, making us all numbers, right? We're all numbers. We're an hourly wage or we're a salary. Corporations are sentient beings by the law. It's in the law. It's in the law of the US. Corporations are their own entities, and they are artificial intelligence. They think for themselves. Their motives are different than those of the people who even control them. They're different than their employees. They are their own things, and they are not necessarily working in our favor. Corporations are, unfortunately, or they could be, the next evolution of humanity. But we don't need to rely on them. And what we have to understand is, while you may enjoy your gym membership or your pithy 401k that your corporation gives you, or your salary, or the other different types of things that your job does, corporations are not out to help you. In fact, corporations are actively seeking as hard as possible to get rid of the people that work for them. You're not their friend, and if you believe that you're going to become rich through working for a job, then you are sadly misinformed. A great example is Uber. Hundreds of thousands of people work for Uber. And some of the people are happy, they can work whatever hours. They just kind of pull out their phone and they're like, yeah, I get to work whenever I want. And it's a good go-between. And I control my income. I'm an entrepreneur. But in reality, your benefactor, your corporation, is actively seeking to figure out a way to pay you as little as possible and get away with it, and to get rid of you as fast as possible. So if you believe that a corporation, that your job for some corporation, your salary is a good thing, keep in mind that your corporation is working against you. And corporations are not in your favor. The only way you can actually break free is you work for yourself. I work for myself because I want to live life. I want to enjoy life on human terms. I want to enjoy life with the things that I believe humans are meant to have, which is nature and family and friends. I've been able to experience my life, spend time with my dog, my cats, my family, traveling to Dubai, going to butterfly gardens, my brother, hiking in some of the most beautiful remote areas in the world, and enjoying weddings and whatnot. Spending time with those close to me is how I believe humans have always lived life, and I believe how we're meant to live life. While some people may be idealist and say, no, you gotta hustle, man, you gotta break through the stress. We have one life on this earth. We've been gifted it. We've been gifted a life on this earth. And if we live our lives trying to satisfy the whims of overlords, corporate overlords that are actively trying to get rid of us each day, then we are not living our lives the way we were meant to live our lives. I can't believe this. Now, everybody's broke, okay? Everybody's broke. You look at where everyone's money is, and nobody has any money. It's in debt. People have tons of money in their bank account, yet owe all of that money in mortgage debt. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars they owe in their mortgage. So even if you have money, you owe it back, okay? It's never yours. Because let's say you try to withdraw it, you can't withdraw it. I've tried. It took me months to get out some of my cash. They don't want to give you your money. I had to find, in all of LA, there are 2 banks that I had to reserve to get my money out 2 months in advance. They would not give me my money. And when I asked for over $10,000, they said, just letting you know, this gets reported to the Federal Trade Commission. That's right. If you try to withdraw more than $10,000, you're reported to the government. You're reported to Washington, D.C. Why? You're not meant to have your money. You're meant to be in debt. That's the way our financial system was designed. That's the way our banking system was designed. And that's the way capitalism was designed, is to keep you in debt, to not let you have control over your own money. And you can do something about it. I'm wearing the t-shirt. And last but not least is the government. Now, some people would say, America, we're the freest country in the world, man. Now, you've been hearing Trump lately talk about the fake news media. You think he's just talking about like CNN and ABC and NBC, right, man? Nah. What else is he talking about? He's saying Trump thinks Fox News or maybe the New York Times and some of the news magazines? He's talking about them too, right? Nah. So, who else is he referring to? It's way worse than you think. It's Facebook. It's Instagram. It's Google. It's Twitter. And it's YouTube. I don't believe that. I can post anything I want. Anybody can post anything they want, right? Yeah, mostly. And those are all private companies. They're not controlled by the government. There's dudes like, the Google guys and, Mark Zuckerberg. They're all different individual people. They run them. They're their own people. Lots of them are not even Republicans. They're Democrats. They don't work for the government. It's very nuanced. And the illusion of freedom is what keeps this society functioning like a clockwork money machine. And it works very well. The fact of the matter is social media and the news media are more controlled than you think, but it's very nuanced. As somebody who is on the front lines, who has an audience of a lot of people and who looks at all of my numbers, I know there are certain words, there are certain things you do, certain paths you go down, and your views get limited, you don't show up as much, and you can still post things and people still see things, but it starts going down and it stops being seen as much. But that's not censorship. That's not censorship, right? No, they're private companies, right? There's 4 companies who control all the news, the TV and movies. And there's 4 companies who control all of the social media. It would be too hard to control 8 people, right? Okay. Now, it's much more nuanced than you think, and we are, I personally believe, one of the most nuanced and subtly controlled countries ever in existence. And it's very hard to do this video, but the reality is that we're in a system. All of these things are not built in your favor. All of these things are built to keep you down. And if you look at the situations of the masses, most people are working for a living and can never make enough money to survive. Now, the final metaphor I'm going to give you, which is, I believe, irrefutable proof that this everything as we know it is messed up, is that 10,000 years ago, one person's labor could do enough to feed one person, okay? One man, one hunter could get enough food in his tribe, right, to feed himself. And a woman could get enough food foraging or farming or even hunting to feed herself. But we live in a different society. We have so many tools at our disposal. We have machines to harvest masses of crops. We invented farming. We invented machines. We invented software and automation. We invented genetic engineering to grow. Corn used to be the size of your thumb. Did you know that? A big piece of corn used to be about as big as your thumb. And through breeding and genetics, we've been able to create corns that are this big, far greater than, as big as your arm, right? So it went from this to this. We have done so many advances in so many fields that right now, the raw output of one human, we went from a society 10,000 years ago where one person could support one person to a society where one person can support 1,000 people. With all these advances, computers, mechanics, software, genetic engineering, etc. But why then are the only people not working 1 in 1,000 people? Shouldn't it be flip-flopped so that 999 people don't have to work and only one person has to work out of 1,000, as opposed to where we are in today's society where 1 out of 1,000 people don't have to work? Once you start understanding how crazy it is, once you start asking yourself the hard questions, once you start thinking outside the norms, you will start to wake up. Wake up. Type in the comments. If you are dedicated to waking up, type in woke, okay? Woke, W-O-K-E. If you are understanding what I'm going after here. Because what I'm telling you is a paradigm shift. What I'm telling you is that you are in a game and the game is rigged against you. And once you understand that you are in a game and that everything has been rigged against you since birth, the school, the education system, the corporate system, the financial system, the government system, only then can you start to make progress and say you can move beyond it. But until you have the self-awareness, until you actually see everything for what it truly is, only then will you be able to take back control. And I encourage everyone, type in the comments if you are committed to taking back control and stop the cycle of poverty that is unnecessary in today's society. Type in the comments, take back control. But the first step in any movement, the first step in anything is awareness of the problem. And too few people are unaware of the problem. Too few people understand that this is not actually freedom, that this is not actually freedom of press, freedom of all these things, freedom of choice. We're all still slaves, but we're slaves with a choice. So I hope this has affected you in some way, and this was a little different than my other videos, but if you were moved by this, if you understand what I'm talking about, please share this video with your friends. Please share this video with other people in the world, because more people need to understand that the systems we're living under are not as they appear. And once you bring that awareness, you can wake up. Once you bring that awareness, you give yourself the opportunity to take back control. This has been John Crestani, and I look forward to talking to you sometime again soon. Subscribe to my channel if you want more videos about how you can take back control of your life. You can quit your job, you can work for yourself, and you can live a different paradigm than the majority of people.